I want to tell you about Tim Russert. He was a herculean presence in news and culture, and his time in Cleveland really helped shape him to become a legend on NBC's Meet the Press.
He came here to Cleveland and ended up spending 7 years here, 4 years at John Carroll and 3 years at law school at Cleveland Marshall. And the school is just a wonderful representation, I feel, of the values that were instilled in my father, about hard work, about community, and about listening, and about understanding other people.
That's Russert's son, Luke, of course. He came back to John Carroll recently, not just to talk about his father, but about how he's doing without him. Tim Russert died 15 years ago. Luke was 22 years old. Where are you now compared to where you were then?
Yeah, it's a good question. Grief is hard, and I think we all experience it in our own ways, right? When I was 22 and he passed, I threw myself immediately into a job that was preserving his legacy. And I did that for 8 years, and there were many parts of the job that I really enjoyed, but there were some moments where I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't know who I was, independent of the job, independent of my last name, independent of the Washington bubble I grew up in.
One reset for Luke showed up in an unlikely way. He was working as an NBC correspondent in Washington when Ohioan House Speaker John Boehner wanted a word with him.
He saw me in the hallway and he stopped me and he goes, "I want to talk to you." And I said, "No." So here's another politician angry about coverage. I'm going to get chewed out. It happens all the time. And I go to his office and he says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, you called me into your office. What do you mean, what am I doing here?" He goes, "No, what are you doing here?" "What are you doing here in Capitol Hill?" He goes, "I've seen you up here 7, 8 years. You can do this job in your sleep. You know, I've seen guys who are here 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they never do anything else in life. Make sure that this is really what you want. Maybe it's a good idea to go out and learn a new skill, learn something else. Maybe it's a good idea to just learn about other people. Just do something that maybe breaks up this sense of duty that you've been on here." And it struck me because Boehner was similar to my father in the sense that he came from a working class, Rust Belt community, Catholic community, paid his way through school just like my dad. So it was a very perfect messenger, if you will. And that started to get the process going in my mind of, okay, if he's saying, maybe you should look inward for a second, I took it very seriously.
Seriously enough that he quit his job and spent 3 years traveling the globe trying to find himself. That's when he realized he was running from his grief.
I was finally being able to process the thoughts that were in my mind. And the thoughts that were in my mind would always come back to, who are you independent of the legacy? And secondly, have you accepted that he's really gone? And what does that mean for you? And I made a point to turn off my phone. It was me in the journal, and it would just come out. And what I realized is that the writing, while a lot of it was about the travel and where I was going, so much of it is, I'm looking for something, and that's Dad. Where's Dad? Where's Dad? And it taught me to be more mindful and be aware that our lost loved ones, they're there every day. They throw signs out for you. When my father passed away, a close friend of his said to me, you know, he's there, you just have to look for him.
Luke kept writing, and in the loss of his father, a book was born. Look for Me There is part of Luke's legacy now, leaving the chaotic life of Washington news and learning to be still.
When you said that you were looking for yourself, which I think is very relatable because we all do that on this journey, did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, which is the piece of dealing with my father's passing. You know, I don't think anyone ever truly moves on, but you move forward in some capability. And for me, moving forward was getting to a place of, I miss him, I love him, but I know more so than anything else, the last thing in the world he would ever want is for me to be full of pain and anguish regarding his passing. And I'm fortunate enough to get to that place.
An inspiring young man. Luke also spoke about Father's Day, of course, which is coming up, and he talks about how it's made more difficult for him and how he got away from that and found a way to celebrate it. And we discuss so much more in what we say is the extended interview, the reset, what we left on the cutting room floor. You'll be able to find that on WKYC Plus, on your Roku or Fire TV.